Good evening. Our meeting here marks the end of EOM CAT 14 for the year 2021. I hope you have been doing good, preparation going on well. Okay, so let's start with the understanding of the quant section of this test. By far, I believe this test was a very easy question, a very easy test. A lot of easy questions. This test had a lot of easy questions. Let's look at the distribution of the questions from the chapter point of view, the topic point of view. Algebra and advanced algebra. Algebra had surds and indices, 1 question, and linear equations, 2 questions. Advanced algebra had 2 questions, one from functions and one from inequalities. There was a heavy weightage on geometry, 7 questions, a total of 7 out of 24. That was very heavy for geometry. Earlier days, yes, geometry was quite a bit favorite. Triangles, there were 4 questions, quadrilaterals 1, circles 1, and coordinate geometry 1 question involving circles, equation of circles. In basic arithmetic, we had averages 1 question, numbers 3 questions. 1 question was based on logic and a bit of small calculations. 3 questions on time speed distance. Advanced arithmetic had 2 questions on permutation combination and 2 on progressions. That was a fairly good distribution. Let's look at the easier questions. There are 14 easy questions, 14 out of 24 easy questions. That was very easy. Surds and indices, 1 easy question on surds and indices. How many integers x satisfy the equation x square minus x minus 1 whole raised to x plus 2 is 1? So when can you have something raised to something as 1? All you had to do was a few trials and you would have an answer. Base can be either 1 or minus 1. Power can be 0. So all you have to do was match these 3 cases. And of course, when the base is minus 1, the power should be even. A small thing there. Linear equations. There were 2 porters and they were carrying suitcases. V and S were the 2 porters. If one suitcase was transferred from V to S, V would have half as many as S. If one suitcase were transferred instead from S to V or the other way, both would have equal number of suitcases. So what is the number of suitcases carried by S? Just a matter of framing 2 quick linear equations and solving them fast. And of course, sometimes such questions can be solved even mentally. Easy question. Quadrilateral. Given below, a figure was given, is a trapezium with AB parallel to CD. AB length is given, BC length is given. BC was the approximate height. And CD, the other parallel length is given. So 25 and 20 were the 2 parallel lengths. And one of the sides was 4, BC. Find the area of triangle ADE. D was a figure which was drawn in the figure. D was perpendicular from D to AB. And luckily it is mentioned figure not drawn to scale. Usually such things are not written. Now D is a point where DC is E was the point, sorry, E is the point which is drawn from D to AB and E was the perpendicular. DE is perpendicular to AB and that was shown. It was not shown that BC is perpendicular to AB, but it was drawn perpendicular. It looked as if it was perpendicular, but it was not perpendicular. So if somebody takes it as perpendicular, they will get an answer, which would be there in the options, obviously. But the correct answer was very simple. That cannot be found. The question cannot be solved because it is not drawn to scale and it is not mentioned that BC is perpendicular. That was the only catch. So an easy question that way. One easy question on triangles. X, Y, Z are three angles of a triangle, angles. So summation has to be 180. Which of the following values of X, Y, Z satisfy this equation? So an equation is given, log of X, Y, Z is equal to 3 log X plus 4 log 2. And you are given that X, Y, Z are integers. Anyway, that was not needed because you had to go by the options only. So you have to only verify, simplify this equation and verify which option satisfies that. Easy. Another easy question on triangle. In triangle ABC, MN and are on AB and AC respectively. MN is parallel to BC. So it was a segment parallel to the base BC. MN, this segment is 3. MB is 1, NC is 2. And which of the following options is true? The options were given. And something was given regarding, the ratio was given AM and AN, and there was something regarding BC. What is the length of BC? Is it greater than 6, less than 6? Those sort of options. And that was very simple because MN, MB, NC, even if you add them and make it a straight line, all three becoming collinear would make it a total of 6. So BC had to be less than 6. A very easy question. One question easy on coordinate geometry. Sometimes such questions might be considered moderate, but I will still consider easy. Look at that. In XY axis, A and B are points given as 1, 0 and minus 1, 0. So A and B are points given to you respectively. ABC is an equilateral triangle and C is above x-axis. That means even C point can be calculated quickly if you want to calculate, but you don't need to. What is the equation of the circle circumscribing triangle ABC? The circle is circumscribing ABC. It has to pass through A and B. You know the points A and B. Just verify which one. If you try 1, 0 or try minus 1, 0 and verify which of them will satisfy the given condition, given equation. Just look at that. You have to try 1, 0 and you would get the answer. Another easy question from permutation combination. There are 6 Kannada songs, 4 Telugu songs and 7 Malayalam songs. Rajesh had to prepare one repertoire from them such that there would be at least one Kannada song, at least one Telugu song. And of course, there is no condition on the Malayalam songs. So in how many ways can the repertoire be created? A very standard type of a question. Maybe you have solved 2, 3 such questions in your textbook. Easy. That's why absolutely easy. Averages. A and B are integers. U and V are their arithmetic and geometric means respectively. Which among these is the highest? Given that B is greater than A. So among A and B is greater. So obviously A cannot be greater. And the options were root A, root B, root U, root V. So it is very obvious that U and V have to be between A and B. B is by far the largest among the 4, definitely. Obviously, root B would be the greatest. An easy question. It's so easy that I'm tempted to give you the answers. Progressions. Easy as such. Just the language might confuse a few, but otherwise easy. Let the sequence UN be defined as U1 is equal to 5. The first term of the sequence is 5. And there is a rule given to find the next term. U of n plus 1 minus U of n is equal to 3 plus 4n minus 1. 3 plus 4n minus 1 can be simplified as 4n minus 1. Just open the brackets. That would give us 4n minus 1. So all you have to do was put values as 1, 2, 3, 4, and you will get U5. And then there are 2 questions. The first question was, what is U5? And the second question is, what is U2 multiplied by U8? Now you already reached 5. That means 2 has already been done. All you have to do was go 3 more steps ahead. Find out U6, U7, U8. Actually speaking, even if it were U20, U8, 28, you can frame the general term of you can frame a equation for the general term and find any term, even U5732. Even that could have been found. Luckily, it was just U2 and U8. So practically, you can find the 8th term. You already have found the 2nd term. for the previous question. Multiply the two and you will get the answer. Very easy. Functions. Yes, an easy question from functions. Easy one. Two graphs were given, f of x and g of x. Graphs were shown to you. And you are asked which of the following is true. It was about reflections. It was a very simple thing, evident just looking at the graph that they were mirror images of each other. Select the right option very fast. That would happen very fast. A question from inequalities, easy one. Range of x is given, range of y is given. X is between -2 and 7. Okay, here I have made a small mistake in the sense I have included less than. It would be less than equal to. So it is a closed limit -2, 7, and y is a closed limit -4, 9. And which of the following is true? There were 4 options regarding x plus y, x square minus y square, and things like that. Just try a few options and you will have an answer. Permutation combination. How many numbers can be formed with the digits 7, 8, 9, and 6, such that it's not a 4-digit number, such that the odd digits always occupy the odd places, and except the digit 6, all the others should be used twice. So you have 7, 7, 8, 8, 9, 9, and 6. 7-digit number was to be framed. Easy question. If I can buy 3 bananas for ₹2 and 2 oranges for ₹3, what is the maximum number of fruit I can buy for ₹7? Very easy. If there should be at least 2 of each time, quite easy. Just do 1 or 2 trials and you will have probably 1 trial only and you will have the answer. This was, of course, otherwise it can be classified as linear equations. So these were the 14 easy questions. Let's look at the moderate questions now. Numbers, there were 2 questions here from numbers. There was one more, I think, but that could be difficult. How many positive integers x does there exist? For how many positive integers x does there exist a positive integer y such that xy upon x plus y is 100? Probably you would have solved something like this in your classroom. Maybe. There's a very good scope that you would have solved something like this in your classroom. And if you've done it, not a very lengthy question, not a very difficult question, quite moderate. Time, speed, distance. Out of the 3, this is the one. This is moderate. A man covers 2/3 of his journey at 60 kilometers per hour. 1/3 of the rest, which you can calculate very quickly, what will it be? At 45 kilometers per hour, and the remaining at, now this is one, of course, important twist here, and the remaining at 70 and 90 kilometers per hour for equal times. When times are equal, the average speed obviously for that part will be arithmetic mean of 70 and 90. Just consider it as 80 and move on. Find the approximately average speed for the whole journey. You know the parts, you know the speeds, just find the average. A little moderate because of 70 and 80. Otherwise, I would consider this as an easy question. This is moderate just because of the 70-90 part. Maybe some people might not strike that it is 70 and 90 equal times is equivalent to a single just 80 part. That part is 80. Okay, so the next is circles. A figure was drawn, a quarter circle. It was shown that it was a quarter circle. OABCD is a quarter circle. Mentioned it, the drawing mentioned that it was a quarter circle. There was a right angle shown. Now that is a sector of a circle. In the writing, it was mentioned as a sector of a circle. Now in that part, if the arcs AB, BC, and CD are equal, then what is the value of x? X was a point which is joining AC and BD. Those 2 chords intersection, there was an angle shown. Quite manageable, not difficult, moderate. Maybe just moderate, maybe even easy, but moderate. Let's count it as moderate. A question on numbers. Ideally, such questions are easy. But there was a small twist here. There were a few more variables. Instead of 3, there were 4 variables. And the options were a little different. The question is, ABCD are real numbers. And this equation is given. A square plus B square and brackets and whole multiplied by d square is equal to minus 2 times a plus c multiplied by bd plus b square plus c square is 0. This can be factorized. I mean, this can be broken down into some u square plus v square is equal to 0. Summation of two squares will be 0. And then the question is, which option is correct? Now, the options were ABCDR in AP, ABCDR in GP, ABCDR in HP, and cannot be determined. So verifying that, looking at this, on the face of it, it does not look easy. So that's why a moderate question. There were two questions connected to time speed distance. Positions of two people A and B are mentioned with reference to a point P. The question said A is standing 5 meters east and 4 meters north of a point P. So P is usually to be taken in such questions as an origin, and A position of A is mentioned. Now B is standing at 15 meters east and 24 meters north. So this is actually just XY coordinates. So it's more to do with coordinate geometry rather than just plain TSD. A walks at the speed of 1.4 meters per second, while B walks at the speed of 2.1. So the ratio of speed is simply, you can see 2:3. It was not important to consider these speeds. Just the ratio 2:3 is enough. Now there are two questions. The first question said A walks towards A, they walk towards each other. A and B walk towards each other and they meet at a point Q. What is the distance PQ? So the coordinates of the point Q were to be found, and obviously P is the origin. So you can find the distance PQ. Quite not difficult, moderate. The second question was A walks towards east now and B walks towards south. So they are walking along perpendicular directions. So, and they don't meet. Wherever the lines intersect, they are not going to meet at that point. So the question was, what can be said about the distance of closest approach? What is the closest that they would get to each other? Initially, they will travel towards each other. They will cross that point of intersection one after the other. So somewhere along the line, they would be the closest, and then again, they would keep traveling away from each other. So what is that closest distance? That was the question. So, okay, not difficult, but okay. The way the options were mentioned, moderate. Otherwise, this could have been difficult. If that exact distance is to be calculated, this could be difficult. But options were like, it is less than 5, more than 5, equal to 5, and one more random option. So that made it moderate. And triangles now. An isosceles triangle is folded at the midpoint of its unequal side, so that the ratio of one of the equal sides to the unequal sides in the original triangle remains the same in the newly obtained triangle. So similarity of triangles. Seems quite simple. Actually, it is easier than what it looks like because of this similarity. Whenever you fold an isosceles triangle like this, the resultant triangle has to be a 90-degree right angle triangle. That means the initial is also a right angle triangle. And it is mentioned that it is isosceles. That means it is indirectly right angle isosceles triangles that you're talking about. If the area of the original triangle is 4, then find the unequal side of the new triangle. Now, on the face of it, this again looks difficult. But imagine it's a unequal side of the new triangle is the equal side of the original triangle. A little bit of imagination, and this is actually a moderate question. This cannot be a difficult question. It's a moderate question, worth solving. Okay, the last one here, moderate, was that in a factory, 1,500 units of A are to be manufactured or assembled, let's say. And assembling A requires one component of B and one component of C. They are to be assembled. B and C are to be assembled together to get a component of A. Now the production rates of B and C are given. B is produced at the rate of 20 units per minute But there's a small problem. There's a stoppage of 5 minutes after the production of every 200 units. Easy to calculate things. Component C is produced at the rate of 15 units per minute with a stoppage of 10 minutes after the production of every 300 units. So calculate what is the average time and see which is the bottleneck. Find out. The question says find the time required to manufacture 1500 units of A. And of course, we are supposed to ignore the assembly time. So all you have to do was find out which is the bottleneck unit, whether it is B or C, and how much time would you require to calculate to manufacture 1500 units of that. The other would obviously bottleneck would not be the bottleneck, so that would be more than 1500, and A 1500 units of A would be got. So not very difficult. A little calculations were required, a little judgment. So moderate. The two difficult questions were one on numbers and triangles, just two difficult questions. That makes it 8 moderate questions, 8 moderate. 14 easy, 8 moderate. And these two are difficult. Numbers. The sum of digits of a 2-digit number is 9. Okay, quite a standard situation. Digits are reversed. The new number is 45 less than the original number. Up till now, everything is okay. Very easy looking. This part is easy, probably something that can be done mentally by many people. Now, the later part is what makes it actually difficult. Now, the same digit, actually, it's the same number. The same number, if written, if understood, if taken in base x, the same number, suppose the number is, let's say, 95, or let's just take it as 12. So, if the original number is 12, now, if I take 1, 2 as a number in base x, that is what it means. The same number on base x, when converted to a decimal, that means on base 10 decimal, is thrice the number formed by the reverse digit number on the base x converted to the decimal. Now, this is what is difficult. And what is that new base then? What is that new base? So that makes it difficult. So yes, this was a difficult question. The first part would be easy, but the second part is what is difficult. And the last was the triangles. If 3 sides of the triangles are defined like this, if 9p square plus 4, 2p plus 7, and 8p square minus 1 are the lengths of 3 sides of a triangle, and luckily you're told p is greater than 1, which of the following cannot be a value of p? So there were 3 options which get values, and then none of these. You can solve this question by options. You can solve the question even technically. Ideally, this could have been a difficult question. This could be. That is why I'm putting it as difficult. Without understanding, this could be a difficult question in general. So if somebody thinks that this is difficult, they are not wrong. P is greater than 1. If you observe, there's only one of these 3 sides which can be the largest. 9p square plus 4. 9p square plus 4 is anyway greater than 8p square minus 1. Now, if p can be a very small fraction, maybe 2p plus 7 could be greater because it is plus 7. But p is greater than 1. So there's no way any of these two can be greater than 9p square plus 4. So the greatest is defined indirectly. All you have to do was apply the triangular inequality and find the range for p, and you could have an answer. So ideally, if somebody understands this part, yes, it could be considered as a moderate question. It is worth for trying for those people who have seen such things. Okay, the first number, the first length is the guaranteed to be the longest side. Otherwise, such questions in general can be tricky. There'll be 2 situations where maybe this is the longest, maybe that is the longest. So it could be very tricky. So yes, this is a difficult question in general. So that is the bifurcation of the questions. Easy, moderate, difficult. 14 easy, 8 moderate, and 2 difficult. Now, how many do you think you should have tried? 14 easy 8. I would expect you to have done at least 12. If you are targeting 98 percentile, 98 plus percentile, there's no way you can miss more than 2. Maybe you miss 1 or 2 of those 14 because the quantity is very large, 14. So maybe you can miss one of them as, okay, this might be moderate or difficult, and you might avoid 2 of these. Out of the 8 moderate, I would expect at least 6. And let's avoid the 2 difficult ones. Let's not touch them. So I would expect everybody targeting 98 percentile to have solved at least 18 questions, at least 18 attempts. So we can now work out a percentile breakup. With 18 expected attempts and with such large number of easy moderate questions, I would not expect an error because you're not touching any of the 2 difficult ones. There shouldn't be a error more than 1 error. Ideally 10% if we take as an error, that would still be 1.8, or we can say 2 errors, but easy questions were too many. So yes, this is why I would expect a little higher accuracy this time. Only 1 error permitted and 17 correct, which gives us a score of 17 into 351 minus 1, 50. Somewhere around 50 score is what could get somebody a 98 percentile. And because there were just 2 difficult questions, people who are at 100 percentile will almost attempt all 24. Yes, there must be somebody who does all 24 attempts. And maybe 1 error would give them a score of 68. So 100 percentile could be got at 68. 99 would stand at 56 marks. Somebody is getting a score of 56 can expect 99 percentile in this paper. Now below 98, 95 percentile can be got at 41 marks. 90 percentile at 33 marks. 33 marks is just 11 correct, all correct. Out of the 14 easy questions, if you can manage to identify 11 and not touch any of the others, you still can reach 90 percentile. 90 percentile was so easy. 80 percentile, yes, would go down to 24 marks. So this is the expected score and percentile breakup. Now I hope preparations are going on well. Make sure that you use the most of your next 1 month or maybe 1 month and 1 week. We still have just somewhere around 27, 28 days, 37, 38 days left. Best of luck for your preparations. Best of luck again.
So LRD analysis, UM40. Overall, this is a DI heavy section, lots of DI question. And if you have to find the keyword for this particular test, so it is careful calculation and proper observation. Careful calculation and proper observation was the key. Let's see. If I'm talking about the first set, that the booming media and entertainment sector. So again, in this question, well, you'll find the first and fourth question, they were calculating. And normal 2 and 3 were the normal calculation. So just a little bit of calculation, you would have got the answer. So overall, you would you may consider it a little bit time taking, but doable. And observation was required. Certainly you did not, those of you who started solving every value, then quite possible it would have taken a lot of time. But again, this is not that type of question. Sometimes observation was sufficient to give you some idea, and sometimes calculation was required as well. The second set, again, when you will see the properly, question number 5, there is no need to solve this, just you could have concluded it by observation. Question 6, again, observation based, but since you have to check all the states and certainly time taking, in that case, even if you are leaving it, it is fine. Question 7, again, careful observation, comparison is required of few states. So again, This is little bit time taking, but again, not that difficult. And again, last question of this set. You need to check the data of the 4 options that is given. The moment your focus is on the 4 options, then calculation was not required. Just observation was sufficient, because the values are like something like this. No need to solve by 3 digit, by 4 digit, or 4 digit by 4 digit data. Just observation was required. So you should have must solve this question 5 and 8 in this particular set. Although, let's say if you left question number 6 because so many observations are required, so there's 3 questions you would have done in this set for sure. Now, this one, company collect data regarding the people of different category based on job profile. Okay, doable set, but sometimes need to calculate. Lots of percentage calculation were there. So even in this case, out of 4, 3 questions you could have done for sure. Certainly, percentage calculation was required a little bit, but again, you have to do it, because overall, when you will see the whole paper, this whole paper is full of calculation. So comparing to that, so this was again one of those sets that you would have done. So again, next set. Okay, so this is 2 out of 4 questions were quite doable. Rest 2 were doable as well, but with moderate level of time dedication. So overall, even if you're not solving all 4 questions, but certainly you would have solved 2 questions out of this, and they were quite doable. Little bit of observation, little bit of calculation, little bit of calculation would have served the purpose. And the last set, this set is something that now, after writing so many mocks, after solving so many sets, this is something you cannot afford to leave such sets, because the moment you crack the whole set, you end up getting 4 questions straight line. So that's why you need to crack this one set with the 4 question. So overall, this was the only LR set. Rest all of them were DI sets. So there was an opportunity for those of you who like LR. For them, there was only one opportunity. Rest you have to solve rest other calculative sets. So now overall, if I have to say, like this pie chart one, the first set I'm talking about. Similarly, the table, lots of table were there in this set. Even the age group and population was stable. School teacher database was stable. So I would consider them like a first set as moderate. Again, the second set, easy but time consuming, little bit of time consuming, certainly that was. And similarly, age and was easy and time consuming. School teacher database, you may consider it easy. Academic institute, moderate. And this is little bit time consuming, certainly with the last set. It will take its own time. Then when you can solve it. So overall, this was the feel of the paper. And as far as good attempts are concerned, so let's say easy question, 4 easy question out of 4, you could have solved all 4. Out of easy and time consuming 12 question, even if you're solving 9, and out of moderate 8 question, you're solving 3. Why I kept less? Because what I can see that lots of time is required in calculation. That's why overall, even if let's say 9 plus 4, 13 plus 3, 16 question, 16 to 17 question, you would have done easily. And getting 37, that is 98% is something very achievable here. Even 99 is also achievable. Yes, after that it must be challenging, but yes, overall, this much you can say you would have scored in this. Again, it's a good opportunity in case you still don't like calculation. So again, be prepared in case in the final exam some calculative things will come. In that case, we'll not have option of saying, okay, I'm not very much into calculation. So please consider all these as opportunity and ensure that you are also good with calculation. Okay, this is what.
Welcome back, everyone. UM 14, almost a month before your actual CAT. What have we been doing here? We have been now sensitizing you to the worst possible case on CAT. If people found this UM tough, I know why it is tough. It is tough because there should be a phase where you handle the tougher tests, and I would rather that phase happen now than it happen 15 days before your actual CAT. the idea behind all of these EOMs between 20th of October and 10th of November, every mock that you take, including a lot of take-home tests that you will take during the Diwali break, please remember the purpose of all of them is to sensitize you. They are not there to throw you a challenge in terms of score. Rather, they are there in terms of throwing you a challenge of selection. Improve your selection skills. Don't let these mock scores get to your head, because that, if you let that happen, that is the worst thing that you can do to your CAT preparation. A month or 15-20 days before your CAT, all you want to do is make sure that you are practicing the toughest questions. Where will you find those toughest questions? In all of these EOMs. So keep your targets, keep your focus very clear. As always, we'll discuss things on these parameters only. So what was the test today? VORC section of EOM 14, 24 questions, 40 minutes, pretty similar to a lot of other Endeavor online mocks that you have given, but with a difference. How did we apply permutation to the paper structure? By changing the number of questions in RCs. How does that affect your testing strategy? To be very honest, it only and only modifies the strategy in terms of time to be allocated. It should not, for whatever reasons, confuse you too much. It should not make you switch to a different strategy. That is the worst thing that you could have done. And anyways, like I said, with my EOM 13 analysis also, the idea is to ensure that with every subsequent mock, you should get a reason, positive or negative, whatever it is, positive motivation, negative motivation. I want you guys to move closer to strengthening your capabilities in reading comprehension. If you are trying to look for shortcuts in VARC section, if you are thinking that you can score in the other areas if you are not so good with reading comprehension, I think that is too much of a gamble if you are targeting more than a 98th percentile in the VARC section. So let's analyze each part of the test. My first part was reading comprehension ka first passage, 6 questions, the longest in terms of questions, a passage based on art and its effect on us. What would I call it? I would call it moderate to difficult. Why? Because it was difficult to read, only 2 easy questions, but then 3 moderate questions also. Should you have attempted this passage? Obviously, yes. 6 questions out of 24. There is almost no logical explanation in the world for not attempting this passage. It comprises 25% of the total questions. What kind of questions were there? We had a specific detail. We had 2 specific detail questions, both of them easy. We had 3 inferences, all of them moderate, and we had an applied information question, which clearly was difficult because 1, it was an unfamiliar question type, 2, it was unexpected, and 3, there were very, very long answer choices. So should you have attempted that question? I think no. Is there a possibility of getting this answering this particular question, question number 3, answering this question correctly in less than 2 minutes? If you've been solving my our verbal logic critical reasoning questions, then probably yes. Otherwise, no. There's really no major incentive in trying to invest 2 to 3 minutes in that particular parallel reasoning question type and trying to get it correct. The next was my critique of central banks, 4 questions. The first was the only moderate one. The remaining 3 were difficult. Why would I call them difficult? Because the passage was overall easy to read. I'll call them difficult only because all 3 of them were critical reasoning based. So what is this? This is a reminder. People for some reasons, we've taught you verbal logic, but because you haven't seen a lot of weaken, strengthen, inference, resolve the paradox questions in the mocks, you've given up on the practice. This is a reminder. CAT is going to bring in reasoning based questions. You have been told multiple times that inference is the gold standard of your reasoning skills. Same applies to other questions. So CAT will do that. Last year in every slot, there were at least 5 to 6 reasoning based questions. And we want you to practice such questions more. So I have labeled them difficult only because they must have surprised you. Otherwise, these questions were not so difficult. Specifically because the passage was not so difficult to read. So easy to read questions, easy to read passage, slightly tough questions. We move to the next two passages. These two passages had a lot in common. What was in common? One, both of them had three questions. Two, both of them were based on philosophy. Three, for anybody who has developed a sort of an antipathy towards these kind of passages, sorry, you were in too much of trouble. You cannot just have an antipathy towards any type of passage. You cannot just look at a passage and say, whatever happens, I'm not going to attempt this passage. No. If at all you have been able to find those 16, 17, 80 questions in the rest of the verbal ability section so that you will not focus on that particular passage, it is fine. But otherwise, no, that's not how it works. So my first philosophy passage, in fact, let me come to the strategy part. I will show you how important this philosophy passage was. So anyways, back to the thing. My first philosophy short passage, pretty short, a bit weird because it was a short passage and it was obviously a passage on a topic that most of you don't like. Tough questions, I honestly, yes. I mean, philosophy passages followed by reasoning based questions are never easy. This was very, very close to, yeah, that's what I wanted to point out. Many of you have attended Prep RC2. Some of you did not, for whatever reasons, must have, did not attend Prep RC2, and Prep RC2 is my abstract passages. Prep RC2 is where I teach students how to approach abstract passages with a sample of a XAT test. So after that also people might have not solved those assignments in Prep RC2 simply because sir, XAT to abhi dena nahi hai, so then why should we practice XAT passages? This passage and the next passage, they are good reminders that stop classifying passages on the type of exams. CAT has already announced that they're going to reduce the number of questions, and that reduction in the number of questions does not mean the difficulty level of the paper will remain the same. Something has to change. It's a product. Number of questions multiplied by the difficulty level of the product, and CAT will want to keep the product constant, which means if the number of questions goes down, the difficulty level of questions should go up. What you've seen in this passage and what you will see in the next passage, please be prepared for these kind of questions. So 3 inference questions, 2 of them moderate, 1 of them very difficult. Same with the next passage, consequentialism, pretty much the same word as my Prep RC2 test 3 for that. Yeah, test 3. Okay, so there the first passage is karma, consequentialism is actually karma. Again, tough to read only because people haven't had practice, not because it was actually a tough to read passage. Critical reasoning based questions, 1 strengthen, 1 weaken, 1 inference. So again, the classification is purely based on how you people feel it. If I make it an objective classification, this question would be moderate, this one would be easy, and this one would be moderate. Also, question numbers 14 and 15 are actually related. So if you understand 14, it is very easy to answer the 15th one. But anyways, those were your 4 passages. Then we go to the verbal logic section, which had 8 questions, 3 in rearranging jumbled sentences, 3 in summaries, and 2 in your out of context. The Sudan War passage might have appealed to you because it seemed chronological, but technically it gets stuck after a certain point. So I would call it difficult. Angelo Dundee, undoubtedly the most difficult. I would have pretty much rated this very difficult. Very, very difficult compared to the others. I know many of you must have gotten it correct. Congratulations. But for people who have just in the last 1 month been taught parijumbles, yes, this was precisely the kind of question that you will see only in mocks and in verbal marathon. So now that we've finished verbal logic for you and your marathon is coming up, please make sure that you're attending marathon lectures and you're listening to the explanations and discussions, not just expecting, not just going into a laid back phase where you think that, okay, it is marathon, I'll solve myself and I'll read the explanation and then I'll understand. That's not going to work. I created that book. I know how it works. Your self-learning attitude is not going to help you improve your CAT scores, mock CAT scores. Briggs-Myers test, I think pretty much straightforward. Now, this is one more EUM where if you see the pattern, the toughest of the questions come up early and the easiest of the questions are placed later in that particular section, which is again a reminder that you should have strong selection skills. That's what I'm trying to do with the marathon. That's what we will do with your verbal advance also. We will teach you selection skills. If you're still not using selection skills, if you're simply handling the section on a as it comes basis, then I have absolutely no way to help you in improving your score. Selection is the first word. Summary questions. There was Shakespeare and Renaissance, which was a moderate question, pretty lengthy answer choices, but then you were specifically looking at which of the answer choices is comprehensive, because there were others which were incomplete. We had a short stories passage, which I will call difficult only because all of the answer choices looked so similar. And then we had a dyslexia passage, again, a bit lengthy for a summary question. Also because, I don't know, the kind of composition of the paper there is, the dyslexia passage might just have been a bit tricky for you to understand. Last, you had the 2 out of context questions. There was a context question on war, moderate, but then simply because there were 2 very, very appealing choices. And the second was labor shortages. Why would I call it difficult? Because if you try to create if you try to rearrange those sentences, either you will end up linking all 5 of them, or you will find a link between 2 of them, and then you might not find anything between the others. So overall classification of my paper and what should you have done, I would see this 3 easy questions. The reason we call this paper moderate to difficult, because 11 questions are moderate and 10 are difficult. So I can't call it difficult because difficult does not comprise 50% of the total section. But yeah, it was a moderate to difficult question. This is what you should have done. Identified the 3 easy questions and attempted them and gotten all of them correct. Moderate, I would want you to focus better on this test only because you don't want to invest so much into difficult questions. Time management, I think I would say that in terms of time management, you would have given maybe 5-6 minutes to easy questions and another 20 minutes or kitne questions hai? Ek moderate mein 8 attempts hai na? So 2.5 to 3 minutes per question, 20 to 25 minutes for moderate questions, and the rest of the time to difficult questions. So what would this work out to? It will work out to this. What should you have done? Started with the liberalism passage. But sir, did you say it was difficult? I know it was difficult. Compared to the first and the second passage, where first passage had 6 questions and second passage had 4 questions, and you would have absolutely been spooked by the number of questions in that passage, and that would have in turn forced you to focus too much on that passage. And what happens then? You start with the first passage, it has 6 questions, and by the time you finish the first passage, you have lost 11 to 12 minutes. There is so much anxiety that because you've lost 11 to 12 minutes only in the first passage, everything else in the VARC section goes for a toss. If these are the pointers, if these are the observations that you can't see when you analyze a test, there is really no sense in simulating a test. And if you're not analyzing and simulating a test now, a month before your CAT, I honestly have no suggestions on how can you improve your score. No shortcuts, no reliable flukes or anything. It has to be taking the same test, developing a confidence in your strategy, and that's how you want to go ahead. So both the short passages, liberalism and consequentialism, I would have expected people to give around 5 minutes each and get me 2 attempts and 2 correct, which was very possible. After that, you go to art and its effect, where you give the passage the time that it deserves, which is around 3 to 4 minutes. You give the questions also the time that they deserve. So you get 5 attempts and 4 correct. Central banks wala passage, I am sure a lot of you will pick that passage first. And if that means that passage seemed easy to read, but somehow it affected your accuracy or your time management, I won't be surprised. So that's why my central banks passage is towards the end, somewhere around 3 minutes to read, another 4 minutes to solve. But my expectations from that passage are really low. Out of 4 questions, I would expect you to attempt 3 and get 2 correct. On the other hand, verbal logic, I would expect you to give as much time as you want to. Why? Because I'm looking at 100% accuracy there. So out of context, maybe attempt only 1 question, the easier one, and get me, not the easier one, the moderate one, basically the first one. Get me 1 attempt, 1 correct. Even if there is no negative marking, I just want to attempt 1. Don't waste your time. Parajumbles, maybe one attempt, 1 correct would be a better option than going for 2 attempts and 1 correct. Again, because you had wasted your time. And summary questions, 6 to 7 minutes, 2 attempts and 2 correct. I know that I call the summaries pretty difficult, but then between I mean, if you don't want to, that's what I've written at the end of the page. If you don't want to attempt 2 summaries because you somehow are not comfortable with summary questions, they tend to like affect your morale or your confidence or your motivation, fine. Instead of attempting more in summaries, reduce the time here, give some more time to central banks. My initial target is 3 attempts and 2 correct. Instead, go for give maybe 2-3 minutes extra here and get me 4 attempts and 3 correct here instead of 3 attempts and 2 correct. So that's how I added to the 16 attempts and 14 correct that I had cited on the previous page, because that 16 attempts and 14 correct would put you at a 98 percentile, a score of 40. 14 into 3, 42 minus 2, 40. 100 percentile would have been around 59. What do we do with these charts? In case people haven't understood it yet, let me start showing it. A 26 to 32 is a difference of 6 marks. No, it is a difference of exactly 2 correct answers. From 32 to 36, a difference of 1 correct, 1 extra correct, and 1 less incorrect. That's all that we ask you to do when you want to go from a 90 percentile to a 95 percentile. And then you start following the same pattern in all of these, and you realize every time you are able to replicate this +1 and +1 additional correct answer, 1 less incorrect answer, you keep moving from 95 to 98, from 98 to 99. I even have a 99.5 percentile today. How much effort does it take to go from here to here by simply identifying that one question which you can answer correctly, and that one question which you will not attempt, because if you attempt it, you will end up answering incorrectly. Not a lot of effort. The entire this month has to be dedicated to improving your strategy. That is the only way. Wherever you stand right now in terms of your scores, you will be able to reach where you want to reach in the next 32 days. Your overall 80 percentile would have been around 67. Look at the difference between 80 percentile and 100 percentile. It is a multiplier of almost 2.6 or 2.7. But then going from an overall 80 to an overall 90 is a matter of 4 or 5 questions, 5 additional correct, another 5 additional correct. Then I want more, 20 marks, so 6 or 7 additional correct. From 98 to 99, just 2 additional correct. From 99 to 99.5, another 3 additional correct. Understand how the ladder climbs, and you will know how to improve your scores. If you are still not working on your strategy, if you are still not working on your selection skills, if you are still searching for shortcuts, I have absolutely no answer on how can you improve your score. But if you are working precisely on your fundamentals by remembering how the scores improve, how it is always a matter of 1 or 2 extra correct, I'm very confident you will be able to reach your desired scores. So that's it from our side for CAT 14. We will see you soon with the next EOM. Stay safe, take care of yourself, stay strong, stay focused, stay motivated, stay a true endeavor champion. Good night, everyone.